Yes, indeed. Fooled all of y'all, didn't I, here, boys and girls? Yes, indeed. Another Butch on Sports. Simply Butch is here, and always, yes, and I'm going to tell you, thanks for tuning in here. We haven't done a podcast in about a week here, so I thought it was due to give you some of the sports news that you just can't get enough of. Let's start off with the Detroit Tigers, who are presently playing now in Minnesota. And yes, indeed, boys and girls, they're losing. They're losing by a score of 4-0. They're in the bottom of the seventh inning. You're ready to go into the eighth. 4-0. 4-0. I can't. Let's move on here, boys and girls. We'll have our little editorial phase on the Tigers. We'll keep that updated here. Let's first and foremost here, before I go any further here, thank goodness for the district tournament on upcoming for many, indeed, here for baseball and softball. But yes, the regional started off with a bang and a boom here with some track regional play, that is. Now it's the states that'll happen on June the 2nd at the various locations throughout the state. I do believe it's 3 in the UP and it's 4 districts in the lower peninsula. There's hopefully one day we can find out who the best track people are by, kind of combining those particulars from that final until maybe the superstars of track and field. Maybe, that will happen. Because some of the kids from the Upper Peninsula don't get to, unless they're maybe doing AAU or something of that nature, don't get to talk to the children of the Lower Peninsula, and vice versa. And I think strict competition is great competition, and also the meet and greet play comes in there for these kids to know each other. And won't it be a better world when, you can be competitive, but you're being nice to each other here. Detroit Lions are OTAing on Thursday. Right now they're getting physical fitness up. They're very pleased with Frank Minot. And he's expected to play either center or left guard this fall for the Detroit Lions. Many of the players are singing his praises right now of his work ethic and is willing to learn things from the veterans. Graham Glasgow, who's also on the team, one of the better players on the Detroit Lions offensive line. He said he can play either guard or center. Will likely play the other spot that opposite Graham, which plays center and also plays the guard, left or right. So that's some good things in improving that line. This guy has some great justifications in his work. I'm talking about Renault, Frank, his first name, and doing very well as far as his resume is concerned. He's never in college allowed his quarterback to get sacked. That's 4 years of dining and dancing pleasure for Renault. I don't know if he can do that in the NFL, but if he's that good protecting the quarterback, he must has some tricks up his sleeve that we just don't know nothing about. But again, Lions OTAs, I'm just talking about one player, will continue to justify and look at the work ethic of the players throughout this OTAs, whatever we're allowed to see. And that's something, the players and the coaching staff want private time with the players or whatever it may be. So we, the media, get a certain amount of time maybe to view certain exercises or whatever it may be that is not relevant to us seeing and knowing what they're going to do for the upcoming season. So, it's time for y'all to go, And we politely go to the media room until if they maybe allow us to see them after practice, or you do everything before and you go home. Okay. I'm just telling you the sidelines of what a media reporter does in sports sometimes to get the job done and give you the reports that, you deserve to hear. By the way, the Detroit Lions' Matt Patricia will not be disciplined for failing to disclose a 1996 arrest for allegations of sexual assault, and the NFL. They're determining that the Lions engaged in inappropriate through the hiring practices, appropriation. It was appropriate. Whatever they said to this guy and whatever they brought to his table when they interviewed him, it was decent for the NFL. So they determined that the Lions handled the interview process in a thoughtful and comprehensive manner and fully appropriately complied with all the applications of employment laws, the league said in a statement released on Monday. As we learned from Mr. Patricia and the Detroit Lions, the matter was not part of his employment interview process, but the job employment outside of or within the NFL. Under the no legal or no requirements to raise the issue. They can't go any farther because they just dropped the case. Patricia was hired by the Lions, by the way, as the 27th coach. He was arrested in March of 1996 and indicted 5 months later for sexual assault, a co-ed during a spring break in South Party Island, Texas. Of course, the case was dismissed in 97 when Patricia accuser declined to testify, and Patricia denies all the charges in a new conference early this month, with the Detroit Lions had politely gave the opportunity for Patricia to speak in his behalf. He said he was innocent, he's now innocent, and Patricia said he falsely was accused of something he did not do. So the owners voted on Tuesday, by the way. And this is a good one here for you to digest, boys and girls. The owners decided on Tuesday to change up the kick-up routine to place in the upcoming season. They said safety is the name of the game, and the most dangerous part of the football game is the kickoff, according to the executives at the NFL. Discussing the discipline proposals, the league studied the stuff of concussions. They said 5 times more likely on the kickoff than any play in scrimmage, concussions. So the league released a graphic on Tuesday on how the new kickoff rule will work for, they're going to I'll explain it to you as best I possibly can. Here's the new kickoff rules and the breakdowns of the particulars there. Rule number 1 is 5 players on the kickoff team will be required to line up on each side of the ball. Number 2, players on the kickoff team will not be allowed a running start. Number 3, at least 2 players on the kickoff team will be required to up the outside of the numbers or line up on the outside of the numbers. That means I think the numbers on the field. At least 2 players on the kickoff team will be required to line up between the numbers and the hash mark. Number 5, at least 8 players on the receiving team will be required to line up in a 15-yard setup zone near the midfield or standing or standard kickoff, leaving a maximum of 3 players lined up deep to receive a kickoff. Number 6, there will be a 15-yard no blocking zone from where the ball is kicked off, so that will be enforced until the ball is touched or hit on the ground. That means in that first 15 yards after the ball is kicked off, no one can touch a soul. Number 7, there will be no wedge blocking along or allowed on the return side, or where 2 blockers or 2 or more are lined together to protect the ball carrier. I mean, there ain't no gangbanging here. That was the last one. In a nice little way, you cannot form a wedge to protect a kickoff player. It used to be in the old days, if you form a wedge where 4 people would back up and be together like a hog on slop and just go after you like a doggone bulldozer. No longer. That will be part of the NFL scheme of things here. You can have two at the maximum to line up together to go after, to protect the ball carrier, to go after a lineman upcoming to you. Those are the new rules. I didn't make them. I hope, I apologize, but that's the NFL new rules that you'll be seeing upcoming this season, the kickoff rule. Oh, yeah. The Tigers, I didn't want to talk about them too much here. They're 4-0 still going on. Oh, my goodness. Well, I think Ron Gardenheimer, and Nico Goodwin are with old friends because they both come from Minnesota. Goodwin and Gardenheimer. Gardenheimer managed there for so many years. Goodwin, a rookie at one time, played a couple seasons where he was called up and down to Minnesota from the old AAA affiliate of the Minnesota Twins. He wasn't no full-time particular on that particular roster, but he now is with the Tigers. And so far, so good. And not doing stank to the Minnesota Twins. Again, shutout here. Relief pitching is not doing their job. And it has been a factor all season long. I don't know what to do and how to do it. I'm not a pitching coach. I'm just telling you what I see. Pitching coach, I don't care. Bullpen stinks. And again, something has to be done to kind of cover the blow. Now, Mr. Bosio is the pitching coach on that particular team, and I'm quite sure he'll find a solution to the problem there. Hopefully sooner than later. Because right now, the Tigers that were maybe close as maybe 3 games from 500, that was like last week, is now like 7 or 8. Tonight will be 8 if they lose this game from 500. They're going truly high. And getting still, as the night started, there was only 3 games out of first place from the Cleveland Indians. Isn't that something? I tell you, that is just something to talk about. Now, let me point on this too, and I gotta say, hip hip hooray for Miguel Cabrera, who apparently was upset, but there was some reports, a lot of reports have been coming to him as far as his mood on his livelihood here. The first thing was, one of the things we were dealt with between what I'm telling you now. Let me get this out the way first and foremost here. He's not going to play until he's 110%. And he was very serious about that. He don't think it's appreciated when he goes out there and puts his athletic ability on the line when he's only 80%. I don't blame him. It should have been done a long time ago, and no one would have mind. Because we'd rather say 100% Miguel Cabrera than the 80% one, because we know he's capable of some great things. Yes, we do. We know that. So I'm glad he's standing up to that. Now, the other point of view is that, he wanted to be down in Miami, and one of the rumors came about here, and general manager who once was a general manager or who's something on the club, and when they get together with all-star games or what it may be, where they would maybe pass the pleasantries, they would kid and joke around, or so-called Miguel Cabrera says, kid and joke around about coming back to Miami as his home. Yes, in the offseason, Miami is Miguel Cabrera, so somewhere around in Florida is his home, away from home. Talking about warm weather. I don't blame him. As long as the hurricanes don't blow over your home, you're a good guy. And there's no taxes down there either for athletics or they get played during off season or what so much if you play on the teams there and for employment. Win-win. I tell you. But again, he made it very clear on that particular about reneging and saying, he's happy where he is, especially he's making the money he's making. He's making Nice little piece of change. Even on workman's comp, he's doing fine. For the Zip, Detroit. I'll tell you right now. Okay. Uh, let me say something about the Vegas Golden Knights here and the Stanley Cup playoffs that have been going in the past here in the last 2 or 3 weeks. It's been fantastic here. The Golden Knights are going to be in the Stanley Cups here for the first season they were conceived. And all because of the draft. And the draft gave them some good doggone players that other teams did not want because they couldn't afford to pay them. Or the sort is they had some surplus there and they did not want to pay them. So they left. Players like Neil left because they had to pay him. Fleury, who's still in his prime right now here, he left because they had another goaltender and he was cheaper and they had to pay Fleury. They didn't want to pay all that money. It prevented them from getting other players. And good teams show that. It showed with the Pittsburgh Penguins this year. They still remained in the playoffs. Didn't get far, but they still remained in the playoffs. But Fleury and his buddies of cast-offs, including Gallant, was cast off from Florida. They didn't give him an opportunity that maybe he deserved with the players they gave him. Okay? Let's say that. So a bunch of cast-offs get to play, and right now they're waiting for the Stanley Cup because the Eastern Division haven't finished their business. The Capitals finally look like the Capitals that they could be, or people thought they were last night when they beat up on the Lightning. To tie the doggone series, or maybe put them in a position to win something. They got to go to Tampa now and do their thing. Washington has home ice advantage. They got 2 times to make this right. Hopefully they can do that. If not, the Lightning, and it'll be a Red Wing connection, second to none, Gerard Gallant, Steve Yzerman, Red Wing connections in the Stanley Cup. It should be nice. It should be nice. It should be nice very much. So Andre Fleury should be the most valuable player of the league. That's the way I feel about it. Finally, boys and girls, and let me give you some news that you can't get enough of. I was looking at Smackdown before I did this podcast tonight here, and I tell you right now, looking at between Raw and SmackDown is gaining popularity because they're featuring some great matches on there and got some good people in that particular swap or trade or free agency finding. And they've made this doggone SmackDown a very interesting piece of material and also something to watch. I watched the Daniel Bryan and Jeff Hardy match tonight there, and that was something else there. You know, they catch my eye. Didn't they have little trinkets electronically that they use that Raw doesn't use, such as the split screen when they do a commercial? That is very interesting indeed. I tell you what. I cannot say enough about that. I can't. Really, I cannot. I like that. You get to see the actions forthwith. And also, watch the commercial or go get something yourself. Like maybe go to the bathroom. And, I don't know. But let me tell you about SmackDown that happened. It's official. SmackDown is, a year before contract is over, normally in business, they refine contracts or whatever it may be. USA definitely want to keep Raw. But SmackDown, they kind of heavy hitter. But when you have open bidding, okay, for a product, and which that's Vince McMahon did, SmackDown came a winner to some other suitor. And as officials, Fox will have SmackDown starting in the 2019 season. So this will be the last year they're on USA or on Sci-Fi or something with the NBC Sports Network. Excuse me, boys and girls. It'll be the last ESPN's Darren Rover first reported the agreement was scheduled to begin in October of 2019. The deal is worth $205 million annually for the WWE. They have a total of a 5-year contract. That's over $1 billion that they put on the bid that probably USA underbid it, and they lost in the deal. This reminds me of the NFL and how Fox bushwhacked everybody and put one of the doggone major networks in the toilet. CBS and NBC. Both got whipped. Yes, they did. I tell you. NBC paid a little bit of money so they couldn't get canceled out, but CBS got their rear end kicked in, and they lost football for a while. But this is good for the WWE and the stock markets. They have raised their stock in the last 4 days over $15 a share. That's how sweet this doggone particular is. Since 2010, it's been on USA or the NBC Sports Network there, and or the NBC Universal, I should say. Let me make that proper. NBC Universal. Okay? Smackdown has been a staple for them for a very long time, and before then, it was a very staple. UPN took Smackdown for a ride, which is the original station that Smackdown was on, was a UPN station. It was not a NBC Universal network. They picked them up, at a certain time, and then did not get them on the USA network, more or less catered them around to stations like Sci-Fi or one of the NBC networks that would, it would look good. Even down to E got wrestling at some point in time during their experience, which the WWE is. It has a very good reputation, and it's no secret that Vince McMahon and Dick Emersall has a very good relation at that particular NBC Universal network there. But again, Fox in 2019 will have SmackDown exclusively on their major network here. And I'm glad to see that there, because I thought, and I really think this way here, that, what would be if the WWE was on NBC's regular network on Monday night instead of the USA network? What would be? Think about it. And they will have to make adjustments on other programming or some of the garbage they put on there, which is either entertainment or who's going to do this, and half of it isn't fair in the first place. But that's the only way I look at it. Right now, Fox got in their rafters here, besides the WWE starting in 2019, that joins the NFL, Major League Baseball, and the UFC. And some NASCAR, for sure, for Fox as well there. So they're kind of rounding out very well there. NBC has to, of course, if you don't know, majority of their money goes for the Olympics, where they outbid everybody else. But maybe one day that'll change too, to $3 billion for Fox or something, and NBC will say, well, what happened? But that's how this goes as well here. I hate to say it, but that's how it goes. I'm done here, boys and girls. Butch On Sports is a presentation of Oh My Darling Productions. I enjoyed this podcast. I really did here, to a no, not one. And I tell you one thing for sure here. Check me out on Facebook. Definitely check me out on Facebook. You can do that. Butch On Sports, of course. You can go to Podomatic.com and type in SIMPLYBUTCHTOO.Podomatic.com and get my podcast there. Also, iTunes, boys and girls, along with, you can get my podcast on Podbean as part of the experience of the game. Scott Nason and friends. Yes, Dave McKay, E.J. Russell, and myself included here as part of that ensemble there. I tell you what here, boys and girls, I had a good time doing this podcast. Check out those particulars when checking this show out. Give me a like on Facebook here, boys and girls, but I tell you, I'm out of here. Again, Butch On Sports is a presentation of Oh My Darling Production. Enjoyed this podcast tremendously, and we'll do one again soon here as the equipment gets updated and we get used to it here. Hey, have a great, great, great day, everybody.